Alright, time to pick up where I left off yesterday. I have basically I've tightened all the lower frame bolts and some of the upper frame, the Core XY frame, but I plan on lifting the Core XY frame off once I get some of the parts. So today I think essentially we're going to finish off the Z-axis, by installing the bed. Then, once I feel I've taken it as far as I can without the Core XY, I plan on switching over to looking at creating wiring harnesses. Huh. Not sure. Something very odd is going on with my computer. I don't know if anybody. Hmm. Hello?
Hello.
There we go.
Hey, I can hear you.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. It's like my computer froze. I think the stream is still actually going.
Yep, watching you wiggle your mouse.
All right.
I can see Google in the lower corner, and a nice shot of the front end,
Oh, thanks.
or the front.
Right. Management.
Come here, you. Full frontal. Come here, you. Come on.
Yeah, I went to open up the Z-axis assembly on the GitHub, and my whole computer bugged out. No idea what that was about.
Blue screen.
It wasn't really a blue screen. It's like all of a sudden, like my main monitor just went black, but my two secondary monitors were okay, and then it would come back, and I don't know. It was all sorts of odd, so I just said to heck with it and went for the restart.
Okay. Just so you know, you can actually sit on my lap if you want.
I don't want
I
to sit on your lap.
am a slug. I have Discord next to me. I have a fresh cup of Bella Luna Earl Grey tea. I am sitting in my big easy chair with the heater and the massage going for my back.
Nice.
And the old man is thinking about jumping in my lap, although he is sitting at the edge of the chair. Good evening.
Hi, good
Oh.
evening.
And I have my knitting out, so yes, I knit.
Man of many hobbies.
I'm making a scarf. It's practice.
Oh, the build is looking really good.
My youngest son is an accomplished fiber artist.
Like an accomplished what artist?
Fiber arts, knitting, crochet, things of that nature. Makes um, a lot of very interesting things. Does a lot of Pokemon plushies in crochet.
Interesting.
There's a market for it.
Oh, I'm sure. That kind of stuff goes bananas on Etsy.
Yeah.
Hey, Eric,
Yes.
what's the red part in the coupler?
Red part in the coupler. What are you referring to?
Oh, the red?
Yeah.
That's basically, you have two aluminum pieces, and that is like a rubber or a plastic piece that takes out the play between the two aluminum pieces and allows it to flex a little as it spins.
Nice.
So that handles axial misalignment. So if the two shafts aren't parallel, that handles that. It doesn't really do much as far as if you have a parallelism misalignment, where the two shafts are parallel but not centrally aligned or concentric. There's a different type of coupler that's better for that.
Okay.
But these help with the axial misalignment. The other thing,
I understand now. Yeah.
the other thing that we have in here that isn't present in a lot of other designs is if you look underneath, and Eric, I don't know if you can get a close shot of the thrust bearing or the thrust coupler or the thrust spacer. So there's a small printed spacer underneath the coupling.
The red color?
It's underneath. It's hard to see it. Yeah, that one right there, that red coupler. Thrust forces, axial, the Z shaft or the Z lead screw, and transfers it to the housing of the stepper motor. So you're
Sweet.
not taking all that. I mean, you are. Yep. So that is taking that axial load and transferring it to the motor housing. Now, it's a good low cost
Vibration control.
It's not really vibration control, but it's a low cost way of handling that kind of axial load. There are better ways of doing it, and Alex Kinnis has a really good series on Z-Wobble that he talks about and addresses this. And in the higher end things, you'll see a collar on the lead screw, and that collar goes to a thrust block. It's got a thrust bearing in it, and so there's no axial loads transferred to the stepper motor.
Nice.
And what that means is that your lead screw is constrained axially as well as radially, because usually that bearing block has both a thrust bearing and a radial bearing in it. And so that handles the axial and radial loading. The other thing we run into is typically the cost of the lead screws that we're working with are reasonably low as things go, right?
Yeah.
So our lead screws aren't necessarily true. They aren't necessarily perfectly straight, and that can be a thing. And I just finished another row.
That's
so,
a nice bed, that. Yeah.
Yep, and then the way those red coupler or the red blocks on the Z-axis, they have the same kind of two rod and a ball kinematic coupling that the tool plate has. So what it's going to do for us is allow a strong coupling from the bed to the Z-axis, and with the 3 points, we can adjust the plane of the bed pretty freely within. I don't know I wonder what the travel is on that. I think we've seen some folks who've taken it up to probably 15 or 20 degrees off horizontal.
Yeah, I was going to say 20 degrees. Yeah, that makes sense. With 3 sides.
We should never have to do that unless we're doing some really interesting.
It looks really nice. That was a good video. There's a good video where what was his name? In SolidWorks, he pulls the bed down so that it kind of shows how the other two balances it.
Yep, you can see how much adjustment you can get.
Yeah.
So as long as your bed is flat.
Yeah.
And doesn't
I've been watching Alex Kennis videos all day.
So how'd the Ender 3 go?
I didn't get a chance to open it yet. Plans of doing it tomorrow evening. So yeah, I couldn't do it yet. Weekend was boring. I slept half day.
Well, you probably needed it.
Yeah, I did sleep.
Grief about sleeping. I ended up working most of Saturday and really late Saturday night through Sunday morning.
Wow.
So I ended up sleeping until almost noon. Right? Or trying to sleep until almost noon. I had three fuzzy guys who decided they wanted their breakfast at 6:30.
Wow.
And the thing is, they had food in their bowls when I came out to check it. Like, there is food in your bowls. Why are you bugging me? Well, now that you're up, give us more. Essentially, I just took the bowls until I couldn't see the bottom and then went back to bed.
All right.
So, Eric, what are you doing?
I want to attach a little 3D printed poly block to the bed, so to hold a this wire over here in the corner. You can kind of see it in the secondary camera view.
Okay.
I forgot to do it earlier, so trying to do it now.
Okay. I forget. Do you have a ground strap on the bed?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think you can really tell in the any of the angles, but there is one.
So, John,
where do we get this bed from?
A couple of different places.
Go ahead.
I got mine from CME, and I got the full bed kit. So it's got machined pockets in the bottom for magnets.
Okay. Was it expensive?
It was about $200 for the bed, but it had all the hardware that you need for the bed. And so, if you look at CME, same folks who do the extruder, they've got a whole set of Jubilee parts. And basically, I bought everything I needed for my bed, including the heater and the SSR. And
yeah, in some ways. Sorry.
I also bought extra sets of the Delrin parts, because they have Delrin parts there.
There's certain things I like about the 712 or 713 bed, the one that I bought. However, after he said all these, basically they have all the other parts too, it would have been very nice to be able to have that bed instead. I ended up buying like kind of an off-brand heater. Because the lead times on the Canovo heater were quite high.
I need to step away for just a second. I'll be right back.
Alrighty.
So Eric, since how long have you been planning this, and how much time have you spent on this?
I spend, well, this is surprisingly about the 36th video in the series that I've been making here. I had no idea it would take this long, but I only spend maybe 1 to 2 hours a night on it.
Yeah.
So it's not like, and I've also had to go back and kind of redo some stuff that I didn't like the way I'd done it the first time, and combine that with I'm also kind of particular about the way I do my wiring and whatnot. Somebody else might be much further along. And getting all the live streams set up also, I've got it pretty much down to a science now. It doesn't take any extra time, but in the beginning it was time consuming.
Okay.
But as far as, what's that?
I'm just saying I'm back.
Oh. But aside from that, I wasn't really planning on building the Jubilee in the beginning. I bought a lot of parts for upgrading my personal printer that I have, that I print all my Jubilee parts on, which you can kind of see over there in the secondary cam window once the lag catches up.
Yep, I can see it.
Yeah, it is currently printing Jubilee parts. But
that's a Core XY setup
no.
also?
No, that one is just a Cartesian. It's
Ender 5?
Ender 5. No, it's um E3D big box. It's all acrylic frame. There's no extrusion.
Oh.
The big box is a dead printer. There's a few people that still work on upgrades for it and whatnot, but basically it was a Kickstarter that E3D put out, and it didn't, or it was very popular, but the big box actually ended up costing E3D more money than they were making to build it, which is not a very good business model.
Yeah.
So hence the reason they ended up just after
Using your own.
yeah, once they hit a certain point, they just stopped selling them. Where did my
One thing about I like about Core XY is we can see the belt moving on top. That's a really catching point.
Well, Core XY wasn't all that popular back in the day when I was building the big box. They existed. What is that? That picture, I can't really see it from where I'm at right now.
Oh, so that's how I've got my TCO, my thermal cutoff, set up. It's going to get some shrink tube over it after it gets hooked up, but it's got the TCO is crimped onto a quick disconnect on each end. And then the quick disconnects are going to get crimped into the wiring, or the load wire, the live wire for the bed. So, and then the whole gets strapped down to the bed. So if we get a thermal runaway on the bed, that the thermal runaway protection in the firmware doesn't handle. At 100, this is the 180. I think this is the 184. Yeah, this is the 184. Although I think, yeah, it's 184C. So if the bed gets to 184C, it's going to open and kill power to the bed. So the only concern I have is that the Canovo that this one's going on can hit 200C in open air. But I think that's the worst part about that is going to be, I don't think I'm going to ever have any problems with that, because this is going on a 1300 watt 510 by 510 Canovo heater running on 120 volts mains AC. And I've got 6mm cork on its way, so it's going to get to build plate 6mm. So the heater's getting stuck down to the bed, or the bottom of the bed, and then it's getting a layer of 6mm cork on top of it, and then it's getting another 4mm aluminum sheet on the other side of the cork, and then the whole thing is getting compressed onto a 15 by 30 extrusion frame before it gets mounted onto the bed, onto the carriage. So I'm boosting the mass of my bed, but I'll be able to hit 100 degrees in less than 2 minutes. Instead of right now, it takes me almost 20 to get to 60.
I made these springs basically to the exact specifications that were in the manual. What's that?
Are they too loose, or are they hard to put on there?
They basically would provide almost no downforce whatsoever.
Really?
Yeah, they'd basically just be floating there in space doing basically nothing.
So they're too long.
Yeah. think I'm gonna have to do something about that.
All right. Did you need to shorten your springs a little bit? Because they should be under tension.
Right. Yes, I will have to shorten them a bit.
Hey, we get to see your mug.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to avoid it. Unlike my little cartoon avatar, I'm not wearing glasses today. I've got my contacts in.
Safety first, kids. Says Joel telling before he decides to set something on fire.
There you are.
That's all right. I just posted my mug.
Yeah, you're having a couple pictures. Aha. Nice.
Oh, it's been a long day. Hey, guys.
Oh, come on, get off of there, you little booger.
Got a nice glass mug of Earl Grey, tiny splash of milk, and some rock sugar in it. Also found a new tea store in the area, a tea shop. Pleasant discovery for the area, because the last two that I knew of closed.
Yeah, it's kind of odd. These springs are basically the exact length. You know
Now,
what I mean?
did you change what are you using on the bottom of the bed to clip the springs onto? Are the terminal lugs or the first generation connector?
The little vent tab thingies. I followed all the instructions.
I think that might be a question that we can ask Josh when he gets here, because he's going to be here in a bit. Because I think we might need to update the length of your spring.
Yeah, that's
remember he changed what goes on the bottom of the bed to connect the springs to?
Yeah.
So we'll ask. When you get a spring length that works well for you, let us know.
Yeah, I'm probably just going to take them down. I don't really know how much tension's supposed to be there, so I'm just going to take a wild stab in the dark.
How loose were they?
Well, I didn't actually put them on the spring anchors, but really loose. like there would have been zero tension, and there might even be a little looser than that.
Take 2 millimeters off.
Yeah.
Or, like I said, Josh said he's going to take a few minutes if you want to wait till he gets here. But what is your extra material, right?
What's that?
Do you have any extra spring base?
Ridiculous amounts of extra.
No, well, try 2 millimeters and then go from there. And if worst case, you have to make another one.
I'm actually kind of thinking I might go 3.
Really?
Yeah, they were exceptionally loose, and I think I'd like them to be a little under pressure.
Yeah. Here's to do. Lay down. There you go. Thank you. Here, you can step it. Yeah, okay.
I'll obviously try one before I continue to make more.
Yeah, I like potato chips. Hey, you. Told you wouldn't like it. Yes, I have running commentary with my cats.
I have no idea where my scale went. Guess I'll have to use calipers instead.
Well, take a look at the spring, and can you get us a close-up of one of the springs?
Sure. Once the lag catches up, you should see it. I don't remember how long the original ones or the document said that they were supposed to be, but
And you said those are hanging loose?
yeah, they were very loose. Looks like I got about 14.5 millimeters here.
Okay. Well, what's the distance to the ends of the hooks, the inside edges of the hooks? So go to your loops.
Roughly 20 millimeters.
So yeah, you got your spring distance, but that loop the spring distance is what you're going to use for when you're calculating the forces. But your spring length.
Well, I just
goes.
yeah, like I said, I basically just followed the instructions. So.
Mhm. And we do know that there was a
modification, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Levi. I didn't need that copy of Cyril.
I guess I can try 2 millimeters for starters. Error on the safe side.
Cat decided he didn't want to play the game, and he pushed the whole thing off onto the floor. At least the box didn't come open. You guys play board games ever?
Sure.
I played Jackbox.
You play what?
Jackbox is a game. It's a board game on Steam, where up to 8 players can play, and each player will get prompt on their phone to answer some, and it'll be a competition between 8 people. It'll be 2 simple questions, kind of thing.
Okay. Yeah, this is. I picked up a new game week before last when I was in Atlanta. It's called Suro, Tsuro, by Calliope Games.
Okay.
And this is the Rise of the Phoenix, which is the latest edition. It's the third game based on the same functionality. So what you're doing is in this case, you're flying phoenixes around a path, and each turn you put down a tile that has a path on it, and you have to move to the end of the path on the tile where your phoenix is. But at the same time, you're trying to build paths that will force the opponent off the board. So it's there can be a lot of strategy to it, but it's something you can teach even a younger child to play, and they can quickly play well enough to compete with adults. So it's a good family game.
Cool.
You look somewhat like you're looking for something.
Yeah, I somehow always seem to lose my green needle nose pliers. They're my favorite.
Do you guys have any AC Moores where you're at?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, they're typically an East Coast thing, but they're also going out of business. So getting into their wire jewelry section is a great way to find heavily discounted flat nose. They have a flat nose, needle nose, basically wire bending jewelry pliers, which are really useful for you. But that's a good place to find pliers that are very good with working with small wires like this. If you don't have something
Where
already.
was this again?
It's called AC Moores. AC alpha A.C.MOORE. They're going out of business. And Michael's craft stores bought some of their IP, bought one of their warehouses, and an option to reopen 40 of the stores under the Michael's name.
Yeah, there is none in Michigan. There is one. There are many in Ohio. Closest one is 250 miles.
Don't worry about it. I've already hit them a couple of times when they do another 10% price drop to see what they've got on deep discount. But I already have a whole rack of these little tiny needle nose pliers. So. Can't wait till you fire it up.
Huh.
Let's see it move.
Yeah, I know how you feel.
All right. I'm watching you build it, so I know what things to do and not to do.
I'm gonna go another millimeter off.
Still a little bit loose.
Yeah, it might pull ever so slightly, but it wouldn't give me very much.
You should probably have some kind of visible gap along the coils. So the spring should be under some kind of tension.
Yeah.
So a lot of the orders I had placed in January still haven't arrived. Oh, I'm still looking for a hotel for Murph.
Yeah, I need to do that.
I need to do that. I guess Josh has already got his one.
What is a trade show?
Not exactly a trade show. It's more of, I mean, that kind of thing does take place, I suppose, but more of a get-together of just like-minded individuals who enjoy 3D printing, essentially.
It's a party.
You do have a lot of vendors that show up, though, of course.
The vendors that show up, though, are typically vendors. I mean, they're not. Okay, so E3D shows up. Duet shows up.
Right. They're appropriate vendors, of course, but
yeah, we'll get folks like the folks who do the Mosquito hot end. Prusso will show up. A lot of times you'll see Joseph as well. At least the Earth, he was at the booth, so you got to see him. You get a chance to meet and talk to Sanjay and those folks. You'll see folks who have built businesses around 3D printing, demonstrating some of the products that they make. Usually there's a lot of cosmetics.
Right,
you'll see folks doing interesting things with tool changing.
I missed last year's. I was in the Philippines.
Yeah, I got a chance to go to Earth. You also get to see and meet, if you wish, some of the YouTube personalities who are reporting on it. So Joel Telling will be there. We'll see Tom Salander.
Oh,
Oh, doggone it! I just went brain dead. CNC Kitchen.
When I met Tom, I didn't
CNC
really
Kitchen?
get a very welcoming feel from him.
Joel's a lot of fun. Joel is seems like a really genuine person. Although you're not going to see a lot of bumps this year, I think. You're not going to get a lot of handshakes, and there's definitely going to be no hugging.
Okay. It's the show is going to happen next to Michigan. It's like very close. It's like
it's in Goshen,
Indiana.
Yep.
Yeah, it's not so far.
What I did with the loop on this one, it is ugly.
So how quickly do you need to register this? Like, is it into the book?
It doesn't cost anything to get a ticket, so you can jump on Eventbrite and get tickets. There's no cost to attend. Josh is going to have a table, and he's going to have some space along with some Jubilees there. And so far, I mean, I don't know. We'll ask him when he gets here. He's had some folks who, if they've got their Jubilee built, have often asked if they can bring them.
Yeah, this one's supposedly going to be part of the show.
Maybe.
Assuming I can finish it. At this rate, I'm not very confident.
Unless I get my build started really fast, I'm not going to have mine done. Although I do have all the parts I need now.
I wouldn't have started mine when I started it. I would definitely not be getting it done. Yeah, I think I'm liking 11.5. How many?
11.5 millimeters?
Yeah.
So do you have some...
You can kind of sort of see through the spring on the camera. It gives you just a little bit of stretch.
So there's just a little bit of stretch on that? Yep,
yeah.
You just kind of see through it. That's the way it should be.
Yeah, I like it.
So that's 11.5?
Yep.
Could probably go with 11, you think? Or would that be too much?
11 to 11.5 is probably fine.
Okay.
I just basically took 3 millimeters off of what I had, which was 14.5. So.
Okay. How many coils?
I'm
not going to count those.
Nope. I'm sorry. I'll put it up to the camera for you, and then you can pause it and give me a count.
I'll pass. I think the variations in the number of newtons of force on these are going to be really small if you're 11 and 11.5.
And really, all it is holding the bed from flying away, so it's not like it needs to be anything too special.
Pretty much. What are you doing, buddy?
I ask my son that all day, every day.
Why is it so quiet in there? Yeah, when the sound stops. Well, you only have one, right?
Yeah, and he's about 1 year and 7 months.
Yeah, you don't really have to worry about that other parts yet. I had.
What you mean, like having a girl over or something?
No, I meant having three 2 years apart. So the oldest and the youngest, there's only 4 years between the three of them.
There you go. That many coils.
Yeah, 3 kids. Yeah, well, the oldest 3, and then there was a big gap between before the youngest. But yeah. Oh, okay, that looks good. Yeah, it's still not focusing on the spring, but there you go.
Yeah, I know. I didn't feel like sitting here trying to get it to focus.
But when they're playing in the back and you can hear them playing, and then it gets really quiet all of a sudden, you start becoming concerned. There is some pounding going on, huh?
No. For whatever reason, the pipes tick sometimes in my house.
That's water hammer or thermal expansion?
I really don't know.
Really?
My wife was using the kitchen sink, and that noise just happens from time to time. So I'm guessing thermal expansion. She was probably washing some of the dishes in the sink.
Okay.
It's an older house, so.
Oh, yeah. Seriously, dude? Can you pick a place to be? Like, any place. Here you go. I have a lap. Come on.
There we go. So yeah, this is what I mean. I never seem to be able to do anything once in this project.
Well, I mean, all the things that you're learning about this, everybody else will be able to learn and
Get to do once.
prevent and being able to do it just once. You are also finding things in the between during this build we found a lot of little things in the instructions that are that if you're the guy who built it and designed it, it makes perfect sense. If you're coming in at cold, it's a little more confusing.
Yeah. When I tried to understand Jubilee, well, there were so many variables to understand.
Well,
Jubilee
starting with your, I
is
think
not...
if you're Ender 3 up, you're going to be pretty happy with it. As long as the initial build was in good shape, you'll be able to get some good prints out of it, and you'll be able to make all the parts you need for your Jubilee.
Yeah, the Jubilee should be someone's second or even third printer. Not their first. At least that's kind of the way I feel about it. What do you think?
I think you're right on there. I mean, someone could build this as their first one.
If they have a friend.
Other construction.
Oh, good.
Do they have some other backgrounds and experiences?
Well, I suppose that's true if they're familiar with CNCs or laser cutters and DIY in general.
Pretty much anything, yeah. Anything you're building. Scratch build modeler would probably do fine.
Yeah, but being able to reprint parts on a whim is going to be somewhat necessary, I think, as well.
Yeah, as we figure out some details.
I think I should take.
It just occurred to me. Do you have an end stop on your Y rails?
No.
Okay.
I don't care that much. If I knock them off, then I lose a couple balls. I got a whole bag full of them.
Okay.
And I'm going to be replacing them anyway, so.
Oh, that's right. You ordered the LDO ones.
Yeah.
Did you order new rails or ball bearing?
Yes.
Which
But
one?
no, I replaced all the ball bearings in them. But I ordered new rails because when the LDO became available, because I want the Core XY to be as solid as possible. I didn't reorder the Z rails. They're gonna be what they were.
And
LDO
Z is
rails.
the amount of motion on Z is so.
Right. That was
Yeah.
part of the reason I didn't feel.
You just lose your cork.
No, that's a different cork pad.
Okay.
The pad was really large, and you could basically get 3 squares out of it.
Got it.
I was just using it as a protection for the bed.
Okay. Yeah, I ordered a sheet of cork from Granger, so it'll be here on Wednesday. It's a 6 millimeter, and it's a 24 by 30, 24 by 48, I think. So.
Yeah, these were like they're about half that thick. I kind of wanted to layer them anyway, instead of doing just one, so
Yeah.
I could do cutouts in it.
Yeah, I've got gouges that I'll use to trim out the areas I need for the wiring and whatnot. So I'll mark them and then just gouge it and put it in place.
Oh, it's taking
And
me longer
insulation
to.
isn't required for these. I mean, a lot of folks who don't insulate it, but
No, I think
Kenovo gives you
goofy.
a pretty solid instructions on their best practices for mounting the heaters on the beds.
Yeah, I will never not insulate a bed. I've seen how nice it is the benefits to insulating them. So.
Well, much more efficient, things like that.
Yeah,
The other thing that
the cork cost is so cheap, but why would you want to try to save a few dollars? Let's just get the cork.
it's like it was $15 for the 24 by 48 inch sheet of 6 millimeter cork.
Yeah, I might have went that direction had I realized that was available, but
Yeah, I've got a Granger just around the corner, so.
Yeah, I don't know. Granger annoyed me though because like I ordered a bunch all the dowels and then they didn't have them, but they didn't send me any kind of notification. So I'm like expecting, them to have them within a week or two. Rolls around, I still don't have anything. So I call them up and they're like, "Oh yeah, it's not in stock and we don't know when it will be in stock." And I'm like, "You couldn't have, let me know about this?" And then if you're not a business, they don't actually have your order up and on the web page or whatever, so you can look it up.
Oh, I've got an LLC set up that I use for stuff like this.
Yes. Yeah,
I do enough freelance stuff that it's a lot easier to have that set up. I mean, it doesn't really change your taxes any. I don't do enough business, but it does give me a mechanism. And $50 a year for the business license, which means I can get stuff at wholesale. No, I don't take advantage of the system. It comes from running retail stores for a number of years. Working retail, running retail, having a number of my own businesses, things like that. And the taxes are really set up in your favor to do it. So.
I don't know much about that yet.
The nice thing about it is if you've got an LLC or you've got a business and you're running an actual business license, one of the things you can do is anything that's associated with that business can be expensed if it's a reasonable business expense. So when I was doing things for like back in the early days, in the early '90s, I wrote resumes for people and did SF-117s or SF-171s. So basically, I help people fill out their government employment applications and wrote resumes. But instead of sending it out to a print shop, I got this was in the early days of desktop publishing, and so I got a fairly expensive for the day laser printer that could handle. This wasn't even a laser printer; it was an LED printer. It was one of the early Alps. But I was turning out, 600 by 600 DPI printed pages, and I was coming in about half the price to have, linen paper stock for cover letters and resumes. So I could charge people a reasonable amount of money, and it covered my expenses, and I was able to write off the cost of all the equipment I was using. So, and that paid for my home office as well. So, I was able to take that off the tax as an expense as well.
Somewhere I know I have a dental pick, but good. I have no idea.
What?
Like a dental pick, which I could use to try to align. I'm having a tough time with this one this spring. For whatever reason. What's that?
It doesn't want to grab? What if you do this?
There we go. I got it.
Oh, all right.
It was just really difficult. Like, for whatever reason, this spring always wanted to zip up and into this little hole and not be where I wanted it to be. And it was being very difficult. But
okay, so now your bed's intact and it's not going to bounce off?
I got one more.
Okay. So shiny. There you are. Good.
Man.
I feel mildly sluggish tonight because I'm just watching you work and chatting and doing a little bit of knitting, and it's the late night Sunday night stuff being wound down for the night.
Oh man, tomorrow.
Work day tomorrow?
Yep.
Yeah. I didn't finish my creative writing projects for the weekend. I don't have the brain to continue to work.
What kind of work do you do?
Creative.
My creative writing is I'm writing personnel reviews. Yeah, the annual performance reviews.
Are you HR?
I mean, I've got a job title of manager, but one of the things my boss does is you got to write your own review, and then I'm helping some of my peers go through and write theirs.
Okay.
So
I just got my personal review last week.
Yeah?
Yeah.
They went out well?
It went well. Yep.
Good.
My manager was happy with my performance.
Yeah, I mean, an annual review should never contain any surprises. If your manager is doing their job right and keeping track of what's going on and doing the coaching and correction as needed, then a personnel review should never be a surprise. And the creative writing aspect isn't for him or her. isn't for your manager. It's for HR. And it's the justification for promotions and raises. So you're competing against people outside of your group. And you got to impress other people about it.
Oh yeah.
Aha.
Initially, it was hard for me to write something about my death. Then I got to know what I should write. It was kind of new to me.
There's somewhat of an art to it, and it does take practice. I mean, I was a supervisor in the Navy for a lot of years, so.
Did you work in Midway?
What's that?
Did you work on ships?
I was a submariner, so I was a nuclear propulsion mechanic. I was enlisted, but I handled. I was a machinist mate, so I handled steam systems and water systems. And part of my job, I was a radiological control. So there was a nuclear power plant, so somebody's got to do all the surveys and water chemistry. So corrosion control, stuff like that.
My colleague, he was in a ship.
Yeah.
He was repairing, and he was posted in Philippines.
Okay. Yeah, I was here in North.
I think the ship, the Midway ship, is now in Los Angeles. No, the ship is there right now.
That's a museum, isn't it?
Oh, hey, look, he updated the instructions for the Y rails.
Oh, good. Oh, for the fixed. Good.
Yeah, I need to.
It's a lot easier to put them on there.
Huh. And he also has a little, an extra little tab here, apparently.
Yeah, that's the reprint for the stop block. With the aluminum crossbar, you need that because a little too aggressive on a chamfer. So that's where you had to change out the switches too. Yeah, you were saying the Granger, but DigiKey is a little overzealous on their packing.
Oh yeah, that's the thing.
So I got an 8x10 box. Oh, okay. So I ordered 3 snap switches. 3, right? 8x10 by 2 cardboard box. Open the box. There's a card inside that fills the space. That card has probably about 20 feet of stretch wrapped around it in different directions. The 6-inch wide stretch wrap completely wrapped around it, and then you get all the stretch wrap out, and there's a bubble wrap sausage in there that is 8 inches long and 1.5 inches across of bubble wrap, and then you take apart all the bubble wrap, and there's a 3 Ziploc bags inside, each containing, or no, you don't take it apart. They cut it off the tray. They cut the little plastic cups off the tray that the switches come in. And so there's these 3 little plastic cups holding a snap switch each in them that have been wrapped up in bubble wrap, stuck on this card, and then wrapped in about 20 feet of stretch wrap. And then stuck it in a box to mail. When it's like, put them in a bubble mailer?
Yeah. Yeah, that was my thought when because I ordered just a few switches, just like you. But it sounds like yours was even more ridiculous than mine.
Yeah. Well.
And then mine was ridiculous.
Well, my first DigiKey order came in in a box that was 12 by 10 by 8, and it was full of paper. And there was, a baggie in the bottom with the parts in it, with all the DigiKey parts, which I think I had 5 switches or 6 switches in it.
Where does he talk about assembling the tool mounts nowadays?
They're in the tool instructions. So instead of going to frame for assembly instructions, or go to the wiki, check the wiki.
I'm in the.
So that's the tool changer carriage assembly. I think it's in the. Hold on. Oh, check the frame.
Oh, here we go.
Here we go. It's.
I found it. It has its own instruction manual now.
Yep, that's the tool parking post with the 2 screws in it, so it doesn't rotate on you.
Wow. Pretty fancy.
Well, that was part of the issue that was identified.
Right, I remember.
With the rotation.
Mm-hmm.
So, and is that a jack screw or is that a standoff at the bottom? So in the post that mounts on the frame, there's a screw that comes down into the top.
Yeah.
I think that's a jack screw. Yep, that's a jack screw.
Yep.
Nice. Good design. So you can use that button head at the top to adjust the height.
It's probably only going to push one way, though, I would think.
Well, it's a lift. It's providing a lift.
What the heck is that?
That was a flush.
Oh, that was me. Sorry. No, that's not a flush.
No, of course not.
I just started a game on the.
Oh, okay. It sounded like a flush.
No. Man, I have a lot of things to learn.
That's what makes it fun.
So, is this drawing from SolidWorks?
Yes.
I've only used AutoCAD Electrical till now. I have not used SolidWorks.
The GitHub download has the CAD files, have a step export, and you can use the step. The step will import into Fusion nicely.
I have Inventor.
Oh, if you've got Inventor, yeah, it'll import into that.
Yeah, I want to try that.
I need
to
play
around with.
Yep.
I need to figure out exactly what I need to reprint.
Essentially, you need to redo your tool posts. Both printed parts.
Oh, these are the new tool posts.
Oh, they are? Okay.
I meant what I need to print for the Core XY stuff.
Yeah. 713 should have some corner plates here in the next couple of weeks. Josh had posted something about getting an answer on that.
Yeah, I can't wait for that. If I'm going, I need to start figuring out, getting stuff calibrated, and I'll just have to go back and apply them in post if I'm going to make Rep Festival.
Yeah.
I don't know that I'll even have them on before Rep Festival. I might just go as is.
Yeah.
But I still need to reprint stuff for the aluminum crossbar.
Okay. So do the CAD files they have each print have their own number, or is it like each sheet has certain parts that go to some place like x-axis or y-axis?
The go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, yeah, everything has a part numbers now, or at least everything will. I don't know if everything already does, but basically, as time progresses and designs get updated, you'll be able to look at your serial numbers on your printed parts to see whether or not you're up to date.
All right, that'll be awesome.
What's that?
That will be awesome.
Yeah, that was actually comes from basically you drove that a lot, didn't you?
Yeah, I kind of pushed
Brian?
for it.
Like we were talking about part numbers and things of that nature, but then I think Brian took it a little bit further to actually incorporate the part numbers in the prints.
I thought it would be because when you say you've printed all your parts, right, and you've thrown them in a bucket because that's what you do when you're printing a bunch of parts for one of these things, and it comes time to start doing your build. Which one's which?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And which version do I have? Because I've printed it over a period of several weeks, right?
That makes sense. Yeah, we get usually lost with just like Legos. We don't know which one goes, and it's a good thing to know that there is a part number for each
Exactly.
one. I honestly didn't know. I'm like a newbie.
There's lots of information out there to find. Lots of good YouTube videos that can teach the basics. Filament Friday, Chuck Hellebuck does a really good job of introducing things at a level that a beginner can pick up easily. And the other thing he does is his videos tend to be reasonably short and pretty focused. So he's got a 10 or 12-minute video, and it's focused on one thing. And it gets.
Can you send me? Can you send me a link?
Sure.
What was the name of the YouTuber?
It's Chuck Hellebuck, Filament Friday.
Haven't watched him, I don't think.
Really? Okay. Let's see if I can find it without disconnecting myself. I'll use a different device.
There's a lot of YouTubers out there that are peddling advice, and not all of them are always the best advice. So you gotta kind of pick and choose.
One Bad Marine, Luke. I think he's the guy. He's the one I sent you with the how to build an M3 assembly guide for beginners. That's the one I posted a few days ago. I think it's actually in this chat.
Assembly guide for beginners. Oh, that's for Ender.
That's the one for Ender 3, but his channel is worth watching.
Yeah. Before that, assembly.
Oh. What time is it? 11:40. Man, time flies.
Yeah, time for bed.
I never get as many things done as I want to get done, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's pretty much a given.
Question is, should I go ahead and do the heated inserts tonight or tomorrow night?
Do which one? The
heated inserts.
Oh, I mean, you only got 4, right? Or 3 per device?
Yeah, so there's 12 altogether. Shouldn't take too long.
Yeah, they take you about 30 seconds apiece, right? That includes the plate, the press plate.
I really like having a nice granite tile around. I mean, I'd like the whole granite, slab at some point, but
No, the tile's actually kind of nice because you can put it in place as you need it.
Exactly. That's kind of what I was going to get at there.
Now I've got a marble slab for the kitchen, but that's I've also got fudge bars that go on it. So,
But guess what?
What's that?
I actually remembered to replace the tip before I heated the soldering iron this time.
Ooh. Yeah, the last time you didn't do that. So this is doing melting and threaded insert. And Eric's going to be demonstrating the press plate method, which gives you a smooth finish on the printed part. And the wiki's got a link to a Hackaday article that goes into more detail.
Yeah, I've got some footage I've shot that will be that I'm going to turn into a video tutorial on this stuff at some point. I just haven't had a chance to get around to compiling it into a consumable form yet. Come on, you little buggers. Spilled some of those really thin shims. So apparently I did not put the heated insert tip back where it belongs.
Didn't drop it in the box with the rest of them, with the inserts.
You think I would do
Aha.
something intelligent? Or at least put them back with the other ones.
Are they in the drawer with the rest of your soldering iron tips?
Here it is. Alright, so one thing you'll want is to find a soldering iron where you can replace the tips.
Okay.
Some of the cheap soldering irons don't have, it's not always convenient to do so.
Yep, a Hacko or a Weller.
So if you look here, essentially there's a little nub there, and your heated insert slides right onto that nub, and it holds it there for you, which makes it really convenient. Alright, so we get heated inserts on the top.
So what temperature are you running your iron at?
300.
Okay. Yep. Heat it up fast so you're not putting a lot of extra heat into the part.
Yeah, I never really did find exactly what heat you should be using, so I just kind of make it up as you go. Essentially, so what I'm going to do here is just lightly put pressure on there. Almost gravity will be pulling the insert in. Let me see if I can maneuver the camera for a better shot here. And then with just a little bit left out of the part, you will want to flip it over and press it onto a nice surface like this piece of stone here.
And where did you get that again?
Home Depot.
Mm-hmm.
You can buy a pack of
nice
5 of these for $25, or you can also order samples off of Amazon. So here, I don't know if I'll get the camera to be able to focus, but you can see that basically it's perfectly flush, and you get a really nice heated insert that way. I don't know if you really saw the magic happen, but I got to do several of them, so you have a chance to get to see the next few here. Josh sized these holes a little bit bigger this time, so I can actually get the heated insert to kind of set on top of these. What's that?
Yeah, because the heated inserts we got have a little bit of a taper to them at the bottom, so you can stuff it in there a little bit before you start.
Exactly. I wasn't always able to do that with some of the other holes, but these ones, they're sized appropriately for it.
So I was able to go ahead and make an adapter for my Dremel drill press that holds my soldering iron for doing this. So it's straight up and down and perpendicular, and then I just slip the piece in underneath and then pull the lever. So kind of like making toast.
Yeah. Works pretty well though without needing a drill press, but the drill press will help make sure that you stay vertical. But if you do the flipping it over and pressing that last 10% in there, you should essentially be flush with the surface when you're finished, regardless of what method you use.
Oh, I wasn't worried about the flush with the surface. I was having perpendicularity issues, pushing it in at an angle.
Gotcha.
Kind of thing when I first tried it. And even if you flip it over, if it's crooked going in, you'll have one side of the hole melted more than the other.
Suppose that's the thing. One thing to note, I don't have the issue here, but sometimes you'll get a bulge. I'm really surprised considering how thin this wall is that it didn't bulge. But if you get a bulge, all you have to do is I'd basically take the soldering iron, kind of rub it over that little spot real quickly, and then press that on the stone as well, and it'll flush it right out.
Yeah.
I have had to do that in the past, so let's see.
And that was just a demonstration of fixing the bulge?
Yeah, essentially. I don't have any bulges in these parts, so
that's good.
It wasn't an issue. But
well, pull a little bit more too, so you don't have as much pushing out.
That's true.
So are you going to do these one at a time?
Yeah. I mean, I just want to flip it over on the plate and make sure each one is good versus having to worry if one of them is going to cool down too fast. It probably won't, but just in case. Of course, this surface was flushed down on the bed surface, so I do have to do just a tiny little chamfer on the edge to get the insert to fit in.
Okay.
Of course, if you had a absolutely perfect Z height, then maybe it wouldn't be necessary.
Yep.
All right,
Welcome.
what mischief have you been up to?
Hey.
Mischief managed.
How's it going?
Doing well. Welcome. Happy Sunday night.
Same to you?
I did end up having to shorten the springs a little bit when I was attaching the bed, but that's, I don't know if that's because I used the new method of bending those little tabs, but
I just realized something. You got to figure out some easier way to bend those springs out. But yeah, I'm sorry that it's not fun. Like creating the springs and pulling loops out of the springs in like the 4 cases you have to do that is not super exciting. The rest of it is hopefully not terrible.
oh, it wasn't bad.
Okay.
I just had to shorten the springs a little bit from what the manual had said. I don't know if that was due to a new I think there was a different method to attach the springs on the bed plate at one point, wasn't there?
Different method. The original Z coupling list printed parts used a dowel pin instead of a set screw.
Well, you know how you have those the little
Oh, they had spring anchors.
yeah.
Yep. Yeah, those were super expensive.
No,
as soon as I figured out.
I'm thinking, did you have to change the spring length after switching to that method? Is all I was trying to get at.
Oh, no, they're pretty much the same height.
Because I ended up cutting about 3 millimeters off of my spring length to maybe it's just the way I made the loops. I don't know.
Yeah, I could definitely go revisit that.
CK, another little side note. Sometimes you have to clear a little bit of goop off of the threads, and it's easier to do it before it hardens. So if you see me flipping it over, I'm cutting off just a tiny little bit of plastic that got melted as I did the heated insert, and then it gives me a nice, clean pathway for a bolt later on.
So hey, welcome, CK Robots.
Hi, Josh.
So so I made up the TCO connectors, so in case I blow it, I can replace it a little more easily. And it's going to get a shrink tube over the top of it, but just to insulate it.
Okay, that makes sense.
But
are
that's
you?
a quick disconnect on each end.
Oh, what's up?
It's got quick disconnects on each end.
I was going to ask if you were, if you had found a place to mount it to the bed.
Well, this one's going to go on to the Ender or the CR10S5. But use the same build. I'll use the same process, and it's going to get pinched between the insulation and the heater. So
I did it in a video back when I was putting the bed plate together. Try to find that video for you later. I think you're about to use a similar method, right, Brian? Because you watched me do that, right?
Right. So what I'm going to be doing is I've got I'm building out an AC heated bed for a CR10, a Creality CR10S5. So it's the 1300 watt Canova heater. So I'm waiting on some 6 millimeter cork because my 5 millimeter silicone sponge is probably, I don't know, who knows when it's ever going to arrive because I ordered it in January. So I'm going with cork, and so it's the 4 millimeter bed plate, a Canova heater that's got 3M adhesive to the back of the bed plate, and then the wiring gets done and I mark where the wiring and the TCO is on the back of the heater, and then I gouge out space in the cork for these parts, the wiring and the TCO. And then another 4mm aluminum plate goes down on the back of the cork, and the whole thing gets clamped together through all to the 15 by 30s extrusion. There's a square of 15 by 30 extrusion that it all gets clamped together with. So yeah, I've effectively, boosting the mass, but that's the best practices as called out by Canovo. So for building a heated bed, because the silicone heaters take even clamping forces very well, and making sure that you've got no bubbles, no airspace between the heater and the bed that it's attached to is very important, because if you get a bad adhesion, or you have bubbles or gaps between the heater and the bed, you get hot spots in the heater, and it can burn out. So, because it's, your heating element is designed to transfer that heat to the bed.
Makes sense.
And if it's just trapped inside the silicone and not actually conductive, because you get very little radiant transfer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're definitely not getting any, everything's got to be conductive transfer. So, but I'm using the clamping forces because the way that this bed is so big, it needs the extrusion supports underneath it.
There we go.
Sure.
There I
but
go.
it also, your bed's really expensive. Your heated bed is really expensive. But.
There, 4 new tool posts off of your new design.
Hey, I'm glad that works. You will, yes, these work much, much better than the previous one.
Good.
Good.
Josh, did you see that video I posted in the chat?
I did see it. I haven't actually watched it quite yet, but I will.
Okay.
I'm looking for wiring diagram software.
Okay.
But I might end up just doing some sort of like doodle to get people to buy with some sort of like Wacom tablet equivalent software.
Okay.
But if anyone has wiring diagram recommendations, let me know. I'm even considering fixing, but honestly, I'm trying to avoid it.
Oh, okay.
Have you tried KiCad?
So KiCad or KiCad is great for circuit board design. I've used it for a bunch of circuit boards in the past, but what it's not good for is this idea. It's when you actually have a system that has actual wires and the colors of the wire matter and the lengths of the wire matter. So that's the difference between a schematic and board layout software and a wiring diagram software. Because in the schematic representation, the wire lengths don't matter, and the thicknesses of the wires usually don't matter until you get to the trace thicknesses in the board layout. So,
right.
But I want I want like actual wiring diagram software where you can like annotate all that.
AutoCAD electrical then.
Yeah, so like SolidWorks electrical, but that costs money. Apparently Visio has a plugin, but that also costs the plugin costs money and Visio costs money.
There you go, Josh.
Here we go. I can't link it because it's, well, maybe I can. Hold on. Copy. Putting it in the chat.
There's the Josh.
Looks beautiful.
There you go.
Oh, wiring diagram tool. What? See, I should read Haggaday more.
That was my 12-second Google search.
I looked so much. Okay, this is exactly, this is close. This is almost exactly what we want. I might do even a simpler one, but this is awesome. Thank you.
I mean, it's
hey,
cool.
standardized symbols. My good